Hi, I'm Tim. This is the third in the series of lessons that will help you learn how to play pop piano. In this lesson, you'll learn to play some chords that are neither major nor minor, called suspended chords, as well as some other chords that have an open sound. And you'll learn a few new playing techniques for your left hand. The interval of a major third or a minor third is what defines the sound of major and minor chords, like with this C major chord and C minor chord. If you move the third of a chord up to the fourth note of the scale, you'll get a chord that sounds like this. These are called suspended chords, or sus chords for short. Suspended chords have a very distinctive sound that's more open than a major or minor chord. They're often used to add some tension to a chord progression, or to avoid defining a major or minor sound for a song. Replacing the third with a fourth is what characterizes a suspended fourth chord. To build one, start with a C major 5-finger pattern. Instead of playing the root, major third, and fifth to make a major chord, replace the third with the fourth degree of the scale using your fourth finger. Play back and forth between a C sus4 chord and a C major chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, C sus4, C major, C sus4, C major, C sus4, C major. Try the same thing with an F chord. First, the F major 5-finger pattern. F, up a whole step, up a whole step, up a half step to B flat, and up a whole step to C. The F major chord is the root, major third, and fifth. And to play an F sus4, replace the major third, A, with the fourth, B flat, using your fourth finger. Play back and forth between the F sus4 and F major chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. F sus4, F major, F sus4, F major, F sus4, F major. You can play from a sus4 chord to a minor chord the same way. First, play a G minor 5-finger pattern where you lower the third to B flat. Now play the G minor chord with the root, minor third, and fifth. To play the G sus4, you replace the third with the fourth, C, using your fourth finger. Play back and forth between a G sus4 chord and a G minor chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. G sus4, G minor, G sus4, G minor, G sus4, G minor. For suspended fourth chords, remember that the fourth is always a whole step below the fifth. You can also play sus4 chords using inversions, just like you did with major and minor chords. To play a C sus4 chord in first inversion, start with the chord in root position. Move the root up an octave, so you have fourth, fifth, root. And to play it in second inversion, start with the C sus4 in root position, then move the fifth down 1 octave. Let's try a chord progression using major chords and sus4 chords. I'll play it for you, then show you how it goes. Start with a C sus4 in root position, to a C major, then just move the E to a D to play a G sus4 in first inversion, to a G major, then back to the C sus4, to C major, and finish on an F sus4 in first inversion, remembering that the fourth is a B flat, to an F major. Play just the right hand until you're comfortable with the progression, then add the roots with your left hand. Play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's try another progression using sus4 chords along with major and minor chords. I'll play it for you first. Start with an A sus4 in root position, to an A minor, to a D sus4 in second inversion, to a D minor, then an F sus4 in first inversion, to an F major, and finish on a C sus4 in second inversion, to a C major in second inversion. Play that with me and add the roots in the left hand when you feel ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you see the sus4 after a chord name in a lead sheet, just remember, replace the third with a fourth, one whole step below the fifth of the chord. In the same way that you build a sus4 chord by moving the third up to the fourth, you can also move the third down to the second scale degree to create a suspended second chord. Here's a C major chord, a C sus4 chord, and a C sus2 chord. Because the third moves to another note, sus2 chords are neither major nor minor, just like sus4 chords. To build a suspended second chord, start with a C major 5-finger pattern. Instead of playing the root, major third, and fifth, replace the major third with the second degree of the scale using your second finger. Play back and forth between a C sus2 chord and a C major chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, C sus2, C major, C sus2, C major, C sus2, C major. Sus2 chords work well leading to a minor chord because the second degree of the scale is only a half step away from the minor third of the chord, like the D and E flat in this C sus2 and C minor chord. Play back and forth between a C sus2 and a C minor chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, C sus2, C minor, C sus2, C minor, C sus2, C minor. For sus2 chords, remember that the second is always a whole step above the root of the chord. Now try playing the C sus2 with inversions. First, the root position chord. Move the root up an octave to play the C sus2 in first inversion. And to play it in second inversion, start with the C sus2 in root position, then move the fifth, G, down an octave. Let's try the same chord progression you played in the last section, but this time using sus2 and major chords. I'll play it for you first. Start with a C sus2 in root position, to a C major chord, then a G sus2 in first inversion, to a G major chord, back to C sus2, to C major, and finish with an F sus2 in second inversion, to an F major. Add the roots in the left hand once you're comfortable with the right hand part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another progression using sus2 chords as well as major and minor chords. Start with an A sus2 in root position, to an A minor, then a G sus2 in root position, to a G major, to an F sus2 in root position, to F major, and finish on a C major in first inversion. Play that with me, adding the roots with your left hand when you're ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you see the sus2 after a chord name in a lead sheet, remember to replace the third with the second, one whole step above the root of the chord. Suspended chords create a tension that sounds satisfying when you resolve them to the major or minor version of the chord. Songwriters often use this tension as a tool when writing chord progressions, sometimes resolving the suspended chord, and other times leaving the suspended chord unresolved. Another way to play chords that are neither major nor minor is by playing just the root and the fifth of the chord. This type of chord is called an open fifth chord. Here's an open fifth C chord and an open fifth F chord. Open fifth chords can give you a very powerful sound, especially when you play them in the lower range of the piano. Use your first and fifth fingers to play back and forth between an open fifth C chord and an open fifth F chord, starting with your first finger on middle C. 1, 2, 3, 4, C, F, C, F, C, F. Now play the same thing 2 octaves lower using your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, C, F, C, F, C, F. Open fifth chords are especially useful when you're playing in lower octaves. Playing complete major, minor, or sus chords in the lower parts of the piano can sound muddy. But using just the root and fifth in these lower octaves will sound more defined and clear. So far you've been playing just the root of each chord with your left hand for these chord progressions. It's common in pop and rock music to play the root and the fifth in the left hand of the piano part, while playing full chords in the right hand. This gives the parts a bigger sound. If you play the root of a chord with your fifth finger in the left hand, the fifth degree of the scale will usually fall naturally under your first finger. This makes it easy to play the fifths in your left hand when you keep the roots under your fifth finger. Let's try a simple progression from A to E to F to C, playing roots and fifths with your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. A, E, F, C. Again, A, E, F, C. When you're playing a root on a white key, the fifth will also be on a white key. And when you're playing a root on a black key, the fifth will be on a black key. There are only two exceptions to this rule. When the root is a B, the fifth is an F sharp. And when the root is a B flat, the fifth is an F natural. You can use the root and fifth in your left hand for more rhythmic variation. Try going back and forth between a C and an F using this rhythm. Play the root on the first beat, and hold that note while you add the fifth on the second beat. Try it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. F, C, F. Now add right-hand chords to this left-hand part. The right-hand chords go like this. Start with a C sus4 in second inversion, to a C major. Then move down to an F sus4 in root position, to an F major chord. Play the suspended chord on the first beat and the major chord just after the second beat, like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 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 Play it with me while I count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 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 3, 4. The rhythm may be challenging when you first put both parts together, so start with just the C sus4 to the C major. Play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now try it with both the C and F chords. Use the pedal at each chord change for a smooth transition. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll use this chord progression and rhythm as the verse of the song in the play chapter of this lesson. Take your time and use the speed slider to slow down the music while you practice. The song in this lesson has 3 parts: a verse, a chorus, and a bridge. You've already learned the verse in the previous section. The rest of the song uses a similar rhythm between the left and right hand. The chorus starts on an A sus2. I'll play it for you, then show you how to play it. The first chord is an A sus2 in root position, to an E minor in first inversion, then an F sus2 in root position, to a C in first inversion. Play just the right hand of the chorus with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. A sus2, E minor, F sus2, C. Again. In the left hand, play the roots and fifths for the first chord of each measure, and just the roots for the second chord of each measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. A, E, F, C. A, E, F, C. Put the left and right hand parts together. 1, 2, 3, 4. The bridge of the song goes like this. Start with a D sus4 in first inversion, to an F sus2 in root position, to a C major in first inversion, and finish on a G major in second inversion. Play just the right hand chords with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. D sus4, S sus2, C, G. D sus4, F sus2, C, G. Now try the left hand part the same way we played it for the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, F, C, G. D, F, C, G. Put the left and right hand parts together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Experiment with changing the feel between the different sections of the song. You may want to play the verse quietly, play the chorus a bit stronger, and then play the bridge with even more intensity. The piano is a very dynamic and expressive instrument, and the sound changes dramatically as you play louder or softer. You can also try simplifying the rhythm in the quieter parts by playing the same rhythm in the left hand as in the right. For example, here's the verse with different rhythms in the left and right hand. And here it is a little quieter, using the same rhythm in both hands. The part now has more space, which can provide more contrast between the verse and the chorus. Try playing at different volumes with rhythmic variations when you're playing the song to give it your own personal touch. I hope you have fun. Play from a C sus4 to a C major in root position. In first inversion, in second inversion, play from an F sus4 to an F major in root position. In first inversion, in second inversion, play from a G sus4 to G major in root position. In first inversion, in second inversion, play from a D sus4 to a D major in root position. In first inversion, in second inversion, play from an A sus4 to an A major in root position. In first inversion, in second inversion, play from an E sus4 to an E major in root position. in first inversion. In second inversion. Play from a C sus2 to a C minor in root position. In first inversion. In second inversion. Play from an F sus2 to an F minor in root position. In first inversion. In second inversion. Play from a G sus2 to a G minor in root position. In first inversion. In second inversion. Play from a D sus2 to a D minor in root position. In first inversion. In second inversion. Play from an A sus2 to an A minor in root position. In first inversion. In second inversion. Play from an E sus2 to an E minor in root position. In first inversion. In second inversion.